Hey guys, welcome back here to Advanced Bass Fishing, and appreciate you guys swinging by the channel to check today's video out. And guys, today we are almost into March. I think, 2 days from now is the first day of March. And a lot of you guys that watch my channel, you hear me talking about March fishing a lot, how good it is. And I want to give you guys some tips and advice on one of my favorite baits to fish during the month of March. And I've been doing some of this March lures over the past several weeks, but I sort of want to just hone in on one lure in today's video. And I want to give you some specific situations where this bait works good. We're going to be talking about a bladed jig today, and we're going to get into a very narrowed down window of specific situations. If you find this in March, you're going to catch some big ones. So we're going to get into that in today's episode. And also, guys, I'll have my Chatterbait link in the description of the video here, and my Tackle Warehouse link. If you guys would like to pick up a few of the chatterbaits and bladed jigs I'm talking about, using that link's a good way to support the channel. I really appreciate that. And also, guys, thank you very much for everybody that's taken time to reach out to me for an on-the-water lesson. If you're interested in doing that, just shoot me a private message on my Facebook page, Intuitive Angling with Randy Blaukat, for the details on the lesson. So appreciate everybody that's reached out to me on that. Okay, every month, I love doing these monthly videos because bass change every month. I mean, they just seasonal patterns and movements. And one of the biggest transitional months that there are, and I've talked about this some in the last couple of weeks, is the month of March. March is a huge transitional month as far as the moves that a bass make and the baits they prefer and the colors they prefer. It's a radical change from the wintertime. And one of my favorite March lures to fish is a bladed jig, and specifically a bladed jig that has some brown or orange or green in it. I actually did a video, a little bit of this on my Intuitive Angling channel, but I want to pass this along to you guys. Now, a bladed jig, especially with some type of orange in it, is critical in the month of March. Green pumpkin trailer, this is a Zoom Z-Swim here, and just any type of bladed jig. This is an earth shaker, but jackhammer's a good one, chatterbait. I'll have that link in the description. But you want to get one 3/8 ounce too. 3/8 ounce is a key size on there. You don't want a half in March. Colder water, you still want to use a lighter one with either some type of a green pumpkin, brown, or black blade. Most of the time what I do on mine is the paint will chip on those blades, and I just take a pair or a bottle of black fingernail polish and touch it up with that. But you got to have some orange in it. And if you buy a jig skirt that doesn't happen to have orange in it, just take some orange dye and dye about a ½ inch of your green pumpkin trailer with the orange dye there, and that'll help out. Okay, so that's the setup with that, that I like there. I don't fish a shad pattern bladed jig much this time of year. March is like all about, the crawdad patterns. So here's a couple situations I want to talk about where this thing really works good. If you haven't caught many fish on a bladed jig, this is going to help you out. If you have a lake that has boat ramps on it, especially a lot of the boat ramps that like private residents have, those smaller boat ramps, guys, bass absolutely love to be on boat ramps in the month of March, and the bladed jig is deadly on a boat ramp. So what I like to do with it is I'll throw that bladed jig up on top of the ramp, on the concrete part of the ramp, and I'll slowly just pump it off the bottom, working it down the ramp. And usually what happens is that bite will come at the end of the ramp, like where the ramp, meets the lake bottom, and just popping it off that bottom, just, popping it up about a foot, let it go back down, popping it up like that, let it go down. And guys, I've caught so many good ones doing that on boat ramps, so don't ever pass that up. The other type of situation you want to use with the bladed jig is on bare rock in March. You don't really need to throw this. I mean, if you have a grass lake, that's a different scenario. It's good around grass. But bare rock is an excellent place to throw a bladed jig in the month of March. Around any shallow targets which you have. It just really depends on what your lake is. If you have just a lake that doesn't have much cover in it, just throwing it down channel banks, down bluff banks, down any type of rocky banks, down riprap banks. If you have, say if you're back east and you don't have a lot of big rock and you've got more clay and sand, that's going to work also. But just try to get into those areas that are somewhat close to a spawning cove, because the bass are starting to get ready to look for that type of stuff. And you always want to slow roll the bladed jig down that cover. So if I'm fishing a rocky bank or even a gravelly bank that's just got a slope to it, Most of the time, this is how I work it. Let me sort of show you here. How you work this is going to be really critical. Actually, let me go get a bait cast rod here. One of the things you'll find out in bladed jig fishing, guys, is that the retrieve on a bladed jig is critical to getting a bite. It's one of those lures that you're going to catch a few, but you're not going to catch many if you just throw it out there and reel it in. It's a bait that requires manipulation, almost like a jerk bait, in order to maximize the strikes, depending upon the time of the year. But let me sort of show you the presentation that you want to use for the month of March here as far as how you want to work it. Okay, when you make your cast out there, guys, you don't just want to just reel a chatterbait in like that. In the month of March, you do the slow roll technique on all the cover I'm talking about, every rocky bank. So what I do with that is I'll throw it out there, I'll let it hit the bottom, and I'll crank it off the bottom for maybe 5 or 6 cranks, and then let it go back to the bottom. And then I may pump it like that, let it go to the bottom, crank it slow a little bit like that, let it go to the bottom, crank it slow, and occasionally give it a half turn like that. So what it looks like is I always let it hit the bottom, and as soon as you start reeling, it's going to come up off the bottom. And once I feel that the bait is 6 inches or a foot off the bottom, I always want to let it go back down to the bottom, keep it close there, and then sometimes I'll hop it up like that and pump it up like that. But you've got to work this thing almost like a jig. A bladed jig, a lot of people, since it vibrates and thumps like a crankbait, a lot of people want to feel that thumping all the time. But the way that I fish it in the month of March is basically almost just like a jig. You know, I'm working it a little faster than a jig, but I'm trying to keep it on the bottom or close to the bottom as much as I can. That is going to be the key to your whole success with that. You're not going to catch many on a bladed jig if you fish that bait up in the water column. Let's say, for example, the bottom of the screen here is 5 or 6 feet deep, and here's the surface. You're not going to catch many on a bladed jig just coming through the water column midway. You're going to catch them close to the bottom. It's going to be the key on that. It's another reason the crawdad pattern is good, because those fish think that thing's a crawdad coming along the bottom. So anyway, guys, that's the main thing I wanted to share with you guys in the month of March, is get you a brown or green or orange bladed jig. You know, fish it on those steeper rocky banks, the boat ramps, keep it close to the bottom, fish it slow. Most of the time I'm using 17-pound test Seaguar and Vizex fluorocarbon with the 3/8 ounce head on there. And guys, it's a good way to catch some quality fish. So hope it helps out, guys. Like I said, I'll link everything in the description to get you set up there. Appreciate it. We'll talk later.